Mr. Mayor, I have been concerned since I attended the Washington Township Board of Ed meeting with the comments of some of the other mayors, in particular Mr. Cogger. His undiplomatic and inappropriate comments about Mendham Township are a big concern, and clearly this meeting has not brought the mayors closer together. It's not been broken them apart, so it's a total failure, in my opinion, to achieve any kind of coming together. It's not clear to me that the other communities have any interest in dealing with Mendham Township. I think, quite frankly, the mayors of other towns have told me either their residents are happy with the current situation or they don't care. Fortunately for those communities, they have an opportunity, and without making any judgment calls relative to the recall petitions, clearly those would be great opportunities for them to really think about the direction they want to go in the future. Because if they don't think about it too hard, they'll just keep the status quo the way it is. I do not believe that any mayor meetings is going to accomplish much of anything. The change is going to come from the public, and I would encourage people to really get involved and explain to your mayors and your councilmen what it is you want. If you want the status quo, it's fine. We in Mendham Township are willing to work with other people, but if you don't want to work with us, that's fine too. We'll find people who want to work with us. At that meeting, I had requested to see what I believe the quality of education is critical, and the fair sharing of dollars is critical. I had asked, it was poo-pooed by the administration of the high school, but the moderator at that meeting insisted we should get a breakdown of dollars between the communities. I understand there may have been some raw pie chart sent out. I think we need to develop some criteria and go back to the high school and say, we would like to know how the money is being spent between the two schools. Because I'm not sure the funding formula will ever change. I don't know if we'll ever withdraw. But we're spending all this money, it would be nice to know that at least we're getting back our fair share. It's not too much to ask, but apparently it's more than they're willing to give at this point in time. So I think maybe through the town we need to officially request a breakdown. Now, there are a lot of comments, well, we can only look at program because teacher costs are different. Well, fine. Define the teacher costs in an aggregate group. Tell us the number of teachers, how much the teachers are costing for Mendham High versus Central. Break down the program. Break it down to the greatest degree you can so you can prove to us that our students are getting a fair portion of those dollars. I think the people of Washington Township want to know the same thing. I think at the very least that's something we could expect, we should demand, and we should get. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. I'd like to open this up now.
May I have a follow-up question? I didn't hear here what you would like to have come out of the meeting and what you feel we should be doing. I'd like to know, going forward, where do you think the township should be going? Since you were there and I wasn't, you have a better insight in that.
I would have thought that the meeting would have been a couple of suggestions that we could have brought back to this committee and the public for ways to move forward. That obviously didn't happen.
Move forward to do what? To separate the district, or move forward in what way?
That's a possibility.
Okay.
Changing the funding formula would be a possibility.
Okay,
but just doing a study when no one defined what kind of a study, who's going to do the study, what the study is going to cost, and not even having a consensus that we're going to have come back in a month and discuss what kind of study. We walked out of that meeting without setting another date. Okay. But I think it would have been fair to move a lot slower and to involve the rest of the committees and the town councils of each respective community. Because it's not my decision, it's everyone's decision. Now at this point I'd like to open it up because I think this is a very, very important topic in our town, is our school. So I'd like to open it up for discussion just on this topic at this time. If anyone would like to comment on anything that I said or that anyone else has said, or you want some more information, please come forward. Microphone's open, and let's hear from our public. First, Mr. Balin, how are you feeling? I understand you had open heart surgery.
2 weeks ago, I'm fine.
You look great.
An observation and a question. As a taxpayer, I'm not going to be willing to pay for another study. You've got 30 years of studies, you don't need any more studies. I question, does Washington Township have more residents than the other 4 towns?
No,
Okay.
we have more than they
So
have.
then, have a referendum, let us talk about it. Obviously, the elected officials have mixed agendas and mixed motives. If you're not going to get the people to talk, nothing's ever going to happen. But no more studies.
Good evening, my name is Colin Harris from Days Hill. I moved to Mendham Township to raise my children. I have a 4- and 8-year-old, 2 daughters, and I intend to fully utilize the Mendham Township public school system here. I will tell you that, to me, another study sounds to me as just another delay tactic. It sounds as a delay tactic. The book has proven that there. Why does Mendham pay 2 times more on a per student basis than Washington Township? And it seems to me, and I need to educate myself more so on this, but it seems to me that, again, that Washington Township may be just riding on Mendham Township's coattails.
Thank you.
Linda Fairchild, Cemetery Lane. I would just like to say I was really glad to hear Mary Beth say what she said, because I think it's wonderful that there is a summit and all mayors are involved, but I think you're beating your chest at the wrong place. And I think it needs to be focused and channeled to Trenton, where they can do something. Because like she said, we can't, our hands are tied. This is an issue for Trenton, not for us to be fighting amongst each other and getting each other annoyed and irritated. We should be cooperative, we should be working together, and I think we need to channel all that energy to Trenton.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Charlene Arrington, and I'm a Chester Township resident. May I speak?
Certainly.
Just to comment on what this lady just said, I wonder if any of you have had any conversations with the Buccos about helping us with this matter. And you don't have to answer me, but it's just a thought, if they're informed.
There have been conversations with both Anthony Jr. and Anthony Sr.
Okay. Now, as an attendee of the June 14th meeting, which lasted an excruciating 4.5 hours, and I stayed for every single minute, I would ask you, Mayor, during your follow-up meeting with the other 4 mayors, was there any discussion at all about the options that were painstakingly discussed over and over during that meeting, which included many other things other than just a study of the fair funding formula and how to fix it, as Mr. Krieg has alluded to? Because I'm thinking something got lost between June 14th and the time that you met with the mayors, because that was not my understanding, the end result of that meeting.
The end result of
The end result of the next steps and what would be done, what would be studied. It wasn't just the fair funding formula that would be studied if there was an additional feasibility study done.
We didn't discuss what kind of study would be done. Well, what was said was we need a study. I got $10,000 for a study. I want you to put up $10,000 and we're going to do a study. So I can't answer that.
I think what she means is that the larger meeting, they really seriously talked about different options.
Right. We talked about 1 K-8, 1 K-12, 2 K-12s, possibility of leaving the K-8s alone and splitting the high schools. There were a number, and we did discuss it very briefly at the mayor's meeting. There was a handout which I gave out that had some statistics on those. Basically, I have to tell you, my 4 colleagues did not want to discuss deregionalization or withdrawal. They did not want to discuss 1 K-12.
So are you suggesting, Mayor, that what was agreed to in the public forum on June 14th by many on that dais did not transfer over until your meeting, your mayor's meeting?
I think when I showed you that one slide, that pretty much told it all, that there was a difference from one meeting to the next.
Is this something that can be resurrected, meaning the results of the June 14th meeting? And I have to say that I've been informed that there is a movie coming of the June 14th proceeding, so that will come out in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure it can be viewed by all, and we'll know exactly what was discussed and by whom.
My personal feeling is, when the residents of each town come forward and talk to their elected officials, I think you'll see a direction. It's my firm belief that there were a couple of people who do not want to do anything except maintain the status quo, and I think that June 14th meeting, which the slide I put up said, that was the one thing that had to change.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more comment. Mr. Craig, if I heard you correctly, you've been informed by some of these mayors that you're talking to that to dissolve the district, if we ever got to that point, it would take a majority of votes of all of the city districts, and that is incorrect by statute. It would require the majority of the voters in the whole district, which is quite different.
No,
So
that's right, but it would require the entire district, all 5 towns, have the majority of the voters to vote to dissolve the district.
And just as an added point, Washington Township has 48% of the voters in the district, and the Chesters and Mendhams have 52%.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
And we've been trying to get that to go forward now. Matter of fact, 5 years ago, we put a non-binding referendum to our voters. Should we do this? And it was around like 80% of our voters said yes. But there was that 20%, so you never know exactly what is going to happen. It's too close a number. But I agree, I would love to see that referendum go forward tomorrow.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.